From in the beginning to the musical apocalypse, this is The Bible Says What? I'm your host, Mike Wiseman. Genocide. Pol Pot did it. Stalin did it. Hitler with the Jews. The English invaders with the Native Americans. No one should have to go through such atrocities. As a rational, empathetic human being, I do not and could not ever support genocide. There is always a better way. Unfortunately, this is not how many of our co-inhabitants of this planet think. If you are a Bible believer and you think every decision made by Yahweh was the best way to go about things, then you support genocide. The loving deity Christians worship drowned countless, sparing only a small family. He swept through Egypt, killing all the firstborn. And when he returns, he wants to cause death and destruction beyond comprehension. The genocides carried out by this being are inexcusable. I do not support genocide of any kind by anyone. Let's start the show.
Is there anything in the Bible that you yourself have an issue with? Okay, so it took you reading the Bible to realize that those things were bad for you?
Yeah, it actually did. I didn't
figure this out on your own?
No, Ted Bundy could be redeemed. God doesn't kill children.
What do you think the Passover was? Yahweh sets up a whole system in the Old Testament where you slaughter animals just so he's able to forgive you.
Today's special guest is Christian podcaster Kilroy Williams. Welcome to the show, Kilroy.
Thanks, Michael. I really appreciate it for this opportunity and that you give me to come on your show today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. It's not easy to find time these days. Tell us a little bit about your show that you do.
Oh, my show is a Christian-based program where I felt that I was led to wake up the sleeping Christians in our country. What has been going on, and we're losing our freedom and everything. And I felt that the church has just been the Christians have not been the leaders that they have been, and so I just felt led to do the podcast and go from there. And just that's how it started.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, we got to do our part to spread different messages, our own messages, of course. Now, we both of us, right off the bat, we stand on different sides of the fence, but I feel we can have a civil conversation about our differences and ideas and concepts and beliefs. And that's the basis of this show, and that's what I love about it. I have been listening to your stuff today a little bit. You've got some fascinating opinions. We're going to talk about a few of them here. I kind of wanted to start off with what brought you to the Christian belief to begin with? How did Kilroy become a Christian?
Ever since I was 7 years old. It was not because my parents forced me or anything like that. It was just something that I felt God calling me, and how I know that I've felt a good relationship with Him because of all the examples that I've personally have experienced of what He's done for me in my life. And I was brought up in a Christian home, but that wasn't, like I said, it wasn't based on me doing it because I felt pressure from my parents. I've had relatives who've also been brought up in Christian homes, and they chose not to. That was the direction that they chose to. So just my personal opinion, I think it's just your personal choice if you felt you're led by God to receive Him as your Savior.
Well, thank you for that. I also grew up in a family that my parents are pastors. Everybody was in the church, and I'm the only one that kind of stepped outside of that and did my own thing. And the funny thing is, it was after I read the Bible. So the Bible itself caused me to do that. But yeah, it's great. Love it, man. Thank you so much for that story. So I kind of want to start off with today, your latest episode about who is king or something like that. I can't remember the exact title.
That's my king. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So from this viewpoint, your God Yahweh is in control at this point. He is the king of this world, correct?
Well, yes. And also He has allowed Satan to be in control of the world right now. temporary until Christ returns. But yes, what you're saying is, yeah, God is in control of everything. Was that kind of like your question?
Yeah. Because you mentioned that he's the king and he's the king of this world and blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
But then,
he's,
you mentioned that Satan is actually in control. And thank you for bringing that up, because there is several spots in there that mentions that Satan is the ruler of this world. 2 Corinthians 4:4, John 12:31, and Luke 5:5-7 all state in different ways that Satan is the ruler of this world. So I kind of, now that we're bringing it up, it kind of reminds me of the what is that? The Robin Hood story with Little John and the evil King Richard is in the throne. Right. So King John, being a flawed human being, let his evil brother take over the throne while he was at war, or whatever the story was. I can't remember the exact details. I just remember the cartoon, Little John. Yeah. Oh,
the Disney one. Yeah.
Great film. Great music.
Absolutely.
Loved it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great show. Great movie. Yeah.
So that's kind of like right now, as I'm thinking about, that's kind of what it reminds me of. So John, Little John, or John, the King John, what was his name? Whatever his name was, the good king that put the bad king in charge, made a mistake. At that point, he probably shouldn't have made the bad king. And that when he came back, he's like, whoa, what is going on? This guy's a bad king. I should probably fix some things here. If John, or whatever his name was, the good king, knew ahead of time what the bad king was going to do, the good king would stop and go, well, I'm going to figure out a different way. I'm not going to let the bad guy take over. And that's the kind of way I see it with Satan and Yahweh right now, is if God can control everything, he's leaving the bad king in charge on purpose, knowing the suffering and the death and the torture and everything else that's coming along with it.
Brother, I know exactly what you're saying there. A lot of people say, it's like, why does God allow bad things to happen? Why does he do it? If he loved everyone so much, why is he allowing to do that? I question that myself a lot of times, because I'm only human, and I get frustrated. It's like, why are you allowing to do that? But we live in a fallen world, and the Lord gave us a free choice of will, whether we accept him or not. And, and it's all about free choice, and man has made some bad choices. And this is just my personal belief that I feel that's why a lot of these things happen. But in the long run, I've had experience where God has turned bad things into good.
Not always, though. Yeah. You can say sometimes he did, but it's not always. And you still have those bad circumstances where children are suffering. Yahweh's being called and he doesn't come and help.
Right. Right. It's called sin. It's called, that's what I'm saying, the fallen world. It's good versus evil,
But why? Why does it have to be that way when God is in charge? And he's okay. So we've got this period of Adam and Eve, right? Everything was perfect. Sure. And then at the very end, fast forward to the end, to the rapture, where everything's going to be perfect again, right? Am I right?
Right. Correct.
So this whole point in between, he's letting the bad guy run things.
Only temporary, though.
But why? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, though, to let the bad guy run anything. Period. Right. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't really, sometimes I question that. I don't really know all the answers, is why he chose the way he did. But I think a lot of it does have to do with free choice.
Right.
And, so let's go back. Let's go back to what you were talking about, Adam and Eve. Yeah. Okay. And a lot of people like to, blame it on Eve. She's the one that did.
I blame it on Yahweh.
And okay. but what I'm saying is, Adam was just as guilty. You know what I mean? I mean, he did the same thing.
Oh, for sure. He was there.
And I'm not the judge. Maybe I would have done the same thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not perfect, So
you get hungry.
Hey, you never know. That I don't know. I wouldn't even really know if it's an apple, but whatever it was, apparently it was very enticing and looked good.
Right. It was enticing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so why that, I'm going to be honest with you, man, as a Christian, I ask that question every day to God. It's like, why would you do this? Why would you do, I don't really get like a direct answer, but, in his word, he says that, in the long run, until that time, he's always with us. And and it's dealing with sin. I mean, if Adam and Eve didn't make that choice, we were supposed to live in this perfect world, right? But why did he? That's a good question. Why did he allow Satan to be a serpent and go down, and talk to them in the garden? It's like, really, why? It doesn't really, unless I'm not a Bible scholar, buddy. I'm not saying that.
Me neither, man.
I'm just a believer. Probably somebody out there probably has the answer. You know what I mean? But I've always questioned that. It's like, why would he even allow Satan in the garden?
Right.
Well, but Satan was a fallen angel, and his dominions followed him, and God kicked him out of heaven. So I've always questioned that. It's like, okay, if you did that, why would you? If he wasn't in that garden, maybe none of this would have happened to begin with.
Even better, reverse it a little bit, and don't put the trees in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like, why even store your magic trees in the middle of a garden? Like, just put them on the moon, put them in Mars. Like, just don't even store them there. It was so, and then you let the bad guy in on top of that. And then to make it a little bit worse, it was actually fruit or some kind of fruit. They eat fruit. Why don't they make it like a pile of crap or something? They're not going to want to eat it, right?
It also may be this too. Maybe he was testing Adam and Eve to see how much that that they would love him, and maybe they to trust him. I don't know.
But he already knows everything, so testing him that really, he doesn't need to test.
Oh, he knows everything.
Sure.
But I guess he just wants to see how his children or his people that he created, how are they going to react?
Did he know how they were going to react?
Did he know?
Yeah.
He knew everything. Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently he knew what the choice was going to be.
Yeah.
Why did he allow it to happen?
So much there.
It's too much for me to comprehend. It's too much for me to comprehend. It's too big for me. Did you have opinion? Let me ask you this. Go ahead. I know this is your show, but let me ask you.
I love the questions. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So you were brought up in a Christian family,
Absolutely.
like you said. Okay, pastor. How do you think your parents, your pastor, your dad would answer that question? How do you think he would tell you? I'm sure you had conversations with him, right?
Oh man, Kilroy is stabbing me right off the bat, man. No, I haven't had the conversation with my folks yet. I know. Okay. It's terrible. I've talked to hundreds of pastors, but I've never talked to my own parents about this. I like the relationship I have, so I don't want to ruin it.
Sure, I understand, but do you have an opinion what you think they would tell you?
Oh man, it would probably be somewhere along the lines of God is God, he does what he wants, and we just have to accept it.
Okay, so that's the saying of what I always heard the saying is, God said it, that settles it, and I accept it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's pretty much how my parents' household runs.
That's pretty much how I feel too, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. No, we can go through some Bible verses that are like, no, don't do that. But for sure. Man, I totally forgot where we're going with this. King of the world. Oh yeah, the king of the world. Letting Satan in. So letting the bad guy do anything. I mean, why not keep the bad guy locked up? You're an all-powerful being. Why release this bad guy onto the earth? It doesn't make
he does, as of now, obviously Satan's free and he knows his days are numbered. And that's why you see more evil now more than ever. I mean, Satan's not dumb. He's smart. He knows his time is coming at the end. And when Jesus returns, he's going to put the devil in the pit for eternity.
Eventually.
Yeah. But as of now, I wish I could really answer your question of why he chose that way. Why is he still doing it? But I mean, you have, God does fight your battles for you as a believer. He has his angels fight your battles for you.
That's weird.
So Satan doesn't win all the time. I mean, there are victories in your life that God can bring you, and you can see that. My own personal experience, I have seen that,
that's all that's debatable. We can get into those stories later for sure. I kind of want to stay on Satan for a minute though.
Sure, no problem.
I like where this is going. This is fun.
Okay.
So you mentioned that Satan was in heaven.
Darth Vader. Well, he is.
Yeah, you mentioned that Satan was in heaven at one point.
At one point, yes.
Yeah. So God made Satan to be an angel that was fallen. That's what he made him to be, because he knew what exactly was going to happen. This is all his plan. He's got a plan, right? I mean, this is all his ideas. And he knows exactly how this plan is going to unfold. Every little thing he does, he knows exactly what's going to happen, what everybody thinks, what everybody's going to do, what the response is. He knows all this. So he creates the bad guy knowing that he's going to, number one, sin in heaven and then deceive a bunch of people and cause them to go to hell. He knows all of this is going to happen. He's going to cause death, destruction, pain, suffering, yet he's still going to make him. Why? Why did he make them? This was before Adam and Eve fell, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. This was before before the creation. Right.
He knew that he was going to make this creature that was going to eventually just sin in heaven, a perfect place, and then fall and then deceive his creations and then do all of this other horrible things. At that point, it doesn't make much sense. It's not a logical reason to be doing.
I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't make sense. I mean,
yeah.
why did he create Hitler? Why did he allow Hitler
Pol
to
Pot,
do what he did?
Hitler, yeah, especially Hitler, because those are his favorite people, man. I mean, of all people to protect your favorite people, just let them just die. Horrible, horrible deaths. So horrible, man. All of the genocides in the world just piss me off.
Again, well, it makes me angry too.
Yeah,
it's all about, like I said, good versus evil, and for the time being, he is ruling the earth, and it's going to get worse. What we're going to see, it's going to get worse. It's going to be terrible.
The good versus evil part. Is it good to create evil?
Well, God's created everything. I mean, I don't think his intention was to create evil. Again, I think maybe he gave Lucifer, which is Satan, maybe he gave him a choice, and he chose, to do his own thing. See, he wanted to be God. He wanted to be better than God. He wanted to have, that's why his angels, and he had his angels, his demons follow him, and they wanted to do the same thing, maybe he wanted to see what he would do. Maybe again, that was about choices.
But he knew, though, he knew exactly all the destruction. He knew all this would happen. So, I mean, I don't really see the whole part where you're saying that he's wanted to see how this would turn out, but he already knew.
Well, it's too big for me sometimes, and sometimes I can't comprehend that. You know what I'm saying? Be honest with you. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love those I don't know answers, man. Those are my favorite, honestly.
I'm not going to throw at you a bunch of Barbra Streisand BS stuff. You know what I mean? If I,
I just think South Park, man.
Yeah. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes it's just too big for my little brain to figure it out. But I'm being honest with you, man. I've asked that question. Asked that question, and I get the same answers from believers who are far more intelligent than I am with the word, and they'll come out and tell me, we just don't know. We have to trust the Lord as a believer, trust the Lord, and just what he has done. There's a reason for it. Obviously, there's a reason. I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that today we live in a fallen world, and it happened all the way back with sin, with man, with Adam and Eve, and Satan has been trying ever since to defeat God. I mean, it started with Noah and the ark, and then God got tired of sin again and brought the flood out, and wiped out evil. And again, some of that evil was still there, obviously, because the problem would be solved, right?
Didn't do a very good job wiping it out then, huh?
Well, some of the angels were still there, in Genesis 6, where it says and there's only a little description in there. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where the angels were enticed with as they say, Adam's wife. So it's not really Adam's wife, but his, I guess, relatives or whatever, and they came down in human form, and and bred, and it's like giants or something like that. But it's only a little bit in the Bible that tells you
sons of God.
It doesn't really it doesn't tell you the whole thing, I don't believe. But and I think some of the, apparently obviously some of those were roaming around as demons, I guess. Dude, it's just sometimes it's just too big for me.
No, there's a lot we don't understand 100%, and I appreciate that you don't just assert that this is what it is because of this, or you're just telling me you don't know, and I love that, man. That's my favorite, because we don't know. We can't really know what these, if this was true, if this was happening, if there were actual Nephilim on the planet, and I don't know, man. I don't know. It's very strange though, and when we add up all the stuff in the Bible that we don't know. And we've just covered a few parts of the beginning here, and we don't know most of why this is happening, and why this is this, and why these things don't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, and that keeps adding up and adding up, what I do is I don't trust it. I throw it aside. I'm like, okay, well, that's untrustworthy because none of that makes any sense. And but what you've done is you've taken faith in it. You've just automatically trusted it, but without the evidence part of it, without the understanding part of it.
Well, that's why it's called faith. right? That's why it's
Right.
called faith. I don't need evidence. I just know. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Jesus said, "Bless the ones that didn't experience him, him rising from the dead, and they still believe."
Is that a good idea though? To just believe something regardless if it makes sense?
Well, again, that's where faith comes in. You know what I mean? I have
Is it
faith.
a good thing?
For me, it is. Yeah.
Like, is there
absolutely.
any other attribute you would do that for? Like something that doesn't make sense, you would just have faith that it is what it is.
Well, it's like we're sitting on chairs right now, right? So I have faith that this chair is going to hold me up.
No, I have trust that the chair is going to hold me. I've got experience with the chair. I know that this chair does what chairs do. I've lived my whole life
and
with
that's
chairs.
how that's how I feel about my relationship with God, as far as I've had experience with him.
Here we
You
go.
understand what I'm saying? I have
Here we
experience
go.
with him, so I know I've seen what he's done for me. But
Let's
at the
get into
same
that.
time,
What is it?
and what I personally experienced.
Yeah, I got to know this experience that's totally convinced Kilroy. What is it?
Oh, man, there's a lot of things that have happened.
Biggest one, the most astronomical one.
Sure. I had nearly died of an aneurysm in 2006.
Okay.
I'm not supposed to be here. Okay.
Who said you're not supposed to be here?
The doctors.
Well, doctors don't know shit half the time. I mean, come on. You got to go
I'm
like
just
two or
saying-
three of them to get the right answer. And you
I'm
put
just
two
tell-
together, you know.
I'm just telling you what they told me, buddy. I'm
That's
just
so
telling you what
funny.
they told me.
Don't trust them. You have put your faith in the doctor at that point then. More than
Well,
Jesus.
there you go. Well, there you go. He sends those doctors to help you. You know what I mean? Yeah, I better have faith in the doctors.
Trust. But we can decide the words. Go ahead. So you almost died. You shouldn't be here.
Right. And the doctor said they didn't understand why. I mean, the miracle thing was, now I know you'll probably take it on the science thing, but I'm just
Most
going by
likely.
the spiritual thing. Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
I was bleeding from the brain, and they went back, and luckily I didn't have a butcher happy doctor. If you know what I'm saying. They didn't want to go in my head right away. They just wanted to see, they would, check things out first. They went back and did a couple more tests, and the everything was completely gone as far as the bleeding, and they said they could see where it was, and this was after a lot of prayer. Then they could see where the inside my head, the brain, where it was like a scab, like it was healing.
Oh, cool.
Okay. And so I took based on my faith that that was the Lord healing me. And there's so many other examples like that that I've come across.
How do you know it wasn't some other invisible person that goes around healing people? How do you know there's not an invisible species that lives on this earth that's natural to this earth that goes around healing random people?
Well, I mean,
how do you decipher between the two, between Jesus and that? How do you decipher?
All right, give me an example. What do you mean?
There's invisible people. You can't see them, sense them. You can get like little
so
tingles when they're near.
so you're saying, okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying like the Holy Spirit is invisible. So you're saying
Jesus is invisible, Yahweh's invisible, Holy Spirit's they're all invisible. None of them have physical bodies.
Right. For now. Right. Because I just believe because Jesus is my savior, and I just knew that it was him.
Well, these beings don't care what you believe. They're still going to heal you. They're still going to help you out. They just random people. That's what they do. They help random people. How do you know the difference between that and Jesus?
Believe me, I knew it was God. Let me tell you one.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me why.
Let me give you one example.
All right.
When I was in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
I had a vision from God. I don't know if it was a dream or whatever. Like I said, I was so out of it.
Okay. Well, yeah, your brain is having issues.
Right.
You can imagine.
I'm not myself. Right.
Right. You're not yourself. You're not thinking clearly. Go ahead.
But the Lord spoke to me, and he took me on. I live out in Colorado right now.
Oh, beautiful place.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And he took me on top of I don't know if it was a mountain or somewhere up high, but I could see other mountains. And all he said to me is, I'm going to heal you. I'm not finished with you yet. I have other things for you to do. Well, I believe through faith. Wow, mountains. He brought me out here to Colorado, and I've been out here for Colorado. And I've started this mission with my podcast, as you know, and that's how I knew that was God. it was no other, it was just a very special experience and relationship.
While your brain was
I-
damaged.
Pretty much, yeah. Absolutely.
Come on, Kilroy. But think about that. Your brain is damaged. You're under a lot of stress,
Well-
and you're telling me you had a vision from God at that point.
Mhm.
What is more likely, again, at this point, a vision of God or a vision from God, or that your brain is stressed out and just hallucinating, subconscious dreaming, all these other things that's going on? Why would you attribute this exactly to God?
Because it's hard for me to explain unless you've experienced it. It's just hard for me to explain.
There seems to be a lot that's hard to explain about
Mhm.
the Bible, your beliefs, and whatnot. See, that's my issue, Kilroy. Is everything seems really hard to explain, hard to understand. I can't understand this unless I'm there,
Mhm.
unless God tells me. It's very difficult for me to be a believer at this point because of all these things. And I'm very curious how you're still holding on.
Again, it's with faith, my man. It's
Yeah,
with
that faith thing.
It's faith. I don't need evidence. Like I guess you're.
That scares me a little bit, Kilroy.
You need like evidence. I don't need evidence.
That scares me a little bit, though.
Okay, why does it scare you?
Well, what other aspects of life do you not need evidence for?
For what? Give me an example.
Well, you're using faith as something you don't need evidence for. When you go to your chair, you have evidence that it's a sturdy thing. You have history with chairs. You see chairs. You can see if something's sturdy by your vision.
Sure. It's that relationship with God where I know that I can trust him, and it's just my like I said, man, it's just my past experience where I've had it, and I don't judge anyone that doesn't want to believe. I believe it's a free.
I'm glad you don't.
I believe it's a choice, and that's between them and God. And if you want, that's why I was trying to tell when I was telling you earlier, I have family members that have made opposite choice.
I don't think it's much of a choice, though, Kilroy. I can't just choose to believe. Like, I have to be convinced. That's where I'm at. I don't choose to believe that Batman exists and Spider-Man doesn't. I don't choose that. I don't choose those beliefs. It's just by evidence that's coming to me. I don't see that this is reality. You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's where I think that you and I have a disagreement. And you want physical evidence. Am I not right? You want like physical evidence?
I want all kinds of evidence, all kinds, not just physical. I live by senses and experience. And what my senses tell me is that there's nothing around me. But there is possibility of those invisible creatures that go around and heal people randomly. I think they're there. I think
that could be.
Yeah,
that could be angels then, right?
No, they're definitely not angels, though. I have a personal relationship with them, and they don't really talk to me, but it is a relationship, and we communicate.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, I love that you just bought that. Thank you, Kilroy.
Hey.
So how does this relationship work, though? I love this one. This is my favorite one. I love, I constantly telling me that Christians are constantly telling me that they have a relationship with this guy. He doesn't respond to them. They don't talk to him. He doesn't show up to their birthday party. He doesn't send them gifts or
physically,
soon cards. He doesn't do anything physically. Anything.
Right.
But it's a relationship.
Sure.
I don't think you understand what the word relationship means.
Okay.
How can you have a relationship with somebody that doesn't talk to you, doesn't show up?
But he does. He talks through his word.
Let's see what he has to say, Kilroy. Will this work? If I take the Bible and I open it up to something, do you think he'll speak to us?
No, not physically.
Well, then he doesn't speak through his word.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, let me open something up. Do you think he'll speak to us when I open something up this time? I gotta know, man. Does this work? Let's show that it works.
Oh, brother, I'll pray for you. I love you. I love you, man.
All right, Kilroy.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're trying to say. I know that, and I know a lot of people, as such yourself, that have that belief or whatever. They want the physical evidence.
Well, you're telling me that there is evidence that way, and I just want to
let me ask you this. Let me ask you something.
Good.
What about, and I'm sure if you look it up, you'll know. What about them finding the chariot wheels in the Red Sea? Have you heard about that?
That's been debunked.
Debunked?
Yeah. As far as I know, it's been debunked.
Okay.
I haven't done extensive research on it lately, but as far as I know, that's been debunked.
Okay.
And even if it was,
so
what does that prove?
So what you're saying, it doesn't matter what kind of evidence, you're still not going to believe it. What would it take
Okay.
you to believe? Let me know, seriously, be honest with me. Like I've been honest with you.
100%. Always.
What would take you to believe? What would it take? I'm serious. What would absolutely, you would
love
say
this question.
that
Good question.
that you would say, oh, he does exist, or whatever. What would you, I'm just curious.
No, good. Thank you. Love this question. I don't know what it would take. I don't.
I love the honest answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, he could show up here right now. I'd be like, okay, I might be hallucinating. There's all kinds of things, all kinds of options. So I don't know what it would take, honestly. But you know who does know what it would take?
What's that?
God.
Well,
and he has yet to do it. I was a Christian for most of my life.
What changed you that you decided? What, something bad happened in your life? You had a bad experience?
No, actually,
what happened?
No, actually, I read the Bible. I picked it up and read these stories I was taught as a kid through my teenage years. All these stories I was taught, I actually read them. Holy cow. Wow. And you know what I found? Nothing in here really makes a whole lot of sense. When you add it all up, when you look through the whole story, when you read it from cover to cover, there are so many problems. And I can't just interject faith and trust into it at that point. At that point, it's worthless to me as an instruction manual, as a history book. Well, not maybe not a history book, but you know what I mean? An accurate history book. I got to look into everything that it says because it uses magic, talking animals, dead Jewish zombies. There's all kinds of eternal hellfire. I mean, bad guys with pitchforks. There's all kinds of stuff, man. So that's why.
I mean, I can understand. I mean, it's a lot of times it's hard for me to comprehend. That's why when I do my personal Bible study, if I don't understand it, I keep reading it. And I just ask, God to help me to understand it. And, my personal experience, I find out that it's, each time I find something different and I learn, like I said, I was honest with you. I'm not a Bible scholar, man. I'm not whatsoever, I mean, just to be honest with you. And I'm not the type that goes out and like the screaming preacher on the sidewalk.
But you're the screaming preacher on the podcast.
Well,
which is on every sidewalk.
I try not to be, put it that
which
way.
is a great religious freedom that you have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We live in a great country, don't we? I mean, we have the freedom, and I don't judge others what they believe in. If they want to judge me, that's fine. I mean, that's that's their choice, but I'm not going to do that. All I know is I try to live by example. I try to live by how Christ wants me to. And if God feels that he wants someone to be saved or believe, he'll bring it on, and have it done. But, my thing is just to try to help people, live a good example, and, do what I feel Christ would want me to do.
Is there anything, I love this, asking my guest this question, but and you kind of brought it up a little bit. Is there anything in the Bible that you have an issue with?
It's a good question. I think if it is, it's what I don't understand, one, what were you just talking about? It's like, I don't understand why. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I don't understand, I mean, it shows the love that God has so much for us as believers, that he gave his son to die for us. That would be very hard for me to do, to give my son up to die, and I question that a lot. It's like, why would you want to do that to your son? Why would you want to do it that way? But that's where, to me, he just showed that he loved us so much, that, he sacrificed his son, but sure, there's some questions I have in there that I have a hard time understanding. But again, I know you probably don't like hearing this, but that's where my faith comes in, and I have to trust him. I have to. Put it this way: I want to. You want to? Okay. Yeah, I mean,
why do you want to?
Well, because I believe he's my savior, he's my Lord, and again, that I just feel, free willing. I gave my life to trust him. It wasn't like I was saying, it wasn't, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it wasn't like when I was brought up in my Christian home that I felt pressured to, so that's why I feel I want to. And I was only 7 years old, but I knew, I was young. Of course, I didn't know, that much as learning experience, with God. But, it says that the children come, with the faith as a child. And if you think about it, a lot of children, even taken away from Christianity, children do have faith in a lot of stuff than we do. I mean, they trust everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they
Like,
also
they're
believe
so
some
innocent.
crazy things. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
oh man,
but
that's right over here.
if you know what I'm trying to say, it's just,
Yeah, no, my kids, they have faith and trust in all kinds of crazy things. This is one of them. For those in the video can see this. I think his name is Huggy Wuggy or something. It's just a
never
monster.
heard of that. That looks scary.
It's supposed to be scary. My kids love these kinds of things. But I mean, they believe that's real. Or Santa Claus, even though I tell them Santa Claus isn't real. Yeah, he is. Okay, well then fine. No presents from me, just from Santa Claus. And then they change their mind real quick. But
I got a problem with Santa too. I got a problem with Santa too. Trust me.
It's not always good to have faith like a child. We should probably reason better than that.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could explain it to get you to understand, but unless God speaks to you and changes your heart and opens your mind and soul, that's the only way you're going to know. Well, I can't sit here. It's not like I said, I'm not coming on here to beat you to death. Say, how dare you? I'm not doing that.
Well, I appreciate that.
There are people out there that make me so upset that do that. And what example does that set? What is that example does that set to Christians? Precisely. When you have someone, that's where they get the label holier than thou.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't believe in that. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, buddy. I screw up every day. Yeah. I screw up every day. I'm not going to put myself on a pedestal like that. But I just personally tried to live my life the way I feel God wants me to as example, show love to others. Just like I love you, brother. I don't know you, but I'm supposed to love you. And I do love you. God created you. You know what I mean? Everybody, I try to have them, think of them as my brothers and sisters, whether they're believers or not. It's just.
Well, we all share this planet together. We're all,
absolutely.
So we might as well do it alongside each other in kindness and helpfulness and respect, for sure.
And unfortunately, there's not a lot of that out there today. There's a lot of mean people out there.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes, people are aggravating, so you do your best.
Sure. Absolutely.
So you had mentioned something I kind of want to step back to a little bit here. Jesus didn't die, or Jesus died. The whole thing, you had an issue kind of with the way that Yahweh did that. And you wouldn't do that. I mean, we wouldn't as dads.
Well, I'm not God, so I mean, I'm only human.
But like as a human, exactly, as a flawed human being, we would have enough on dignity,
but that shows I
to
think
not choose that.
Right. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't want to do that to your children, right?
I wouldn't choose that way. You know what I would choose though? Forgiveness any other way besides bloodshed. That's what I would have done. I mean, that would have been more logical and loving.
And that was the most horrible way to die. Absolutely horrible. If
I'm not gonna give a few more. There's that one where they cut you open and they just like get your guts and they just. I think that'd be more horrible than crucifixion. Well, I mean, we can pick our poison, but
sure, exactly. But it's still it was absolutely horrible. But
no doubt.
I guess that was his way of showing that's how much he loved. He gave his only begotten son. I mean, it even says that.
But did he really give him? Did he really
absolutely
give him? How long was he gone for?
Sure. How long has he been gone?
How long was he gone from Yahweh? How long did he give him away for?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
Where's Jesus now?
He's in heaven
with Yahweh.
Actually, he's in heaven with the Lord, present by the Lord, the right hand side of his throne. Yeah.
So how did he give his son away? He still has him.
Well, physically, he gave him away.
He still physically has him, doesn't he?
Physically. Well, yes, but I'm talking about when he was on earth, he allowed him to die. That's what I'm talking about.
For like 3 days.
Yes.
That's it.
3 days.
Yeah.
Then he rose again.
And then he's back. We're doing the same thing. So an eternal being, an eternal all-powerful being is gone for 3 days, and now he's back, and that's a huge sacrifice.
Well, I think it'd be a huge sacrifice if I lost my child for that, wouldn't you? When you think
we're just mortal beings, yeah, for sure. But this is an immortal being that's been around forever, and he lost 3 days, and he still has eternity to go. I don't think it's a big deal. It's not really that big of a sacrifice. There's so many holes in this. That's right. That's my problem. Is that, like, why would he do that? That doesn't make any sense. He's a loving, all-powerful God. Why would he require bloodshed for forgiveness? And then the bloodshed, the sacrifice, isn't really that big of a deal because it's an eternal being. So I don't really see where the sacrifice comes in. It just all seems so very pointless.
Wow. See, I don't see it that way. I think it was a big sacrifice. And if he didn't do that, I would be bound for hell.
Why was it
Today.
a big sacrifice for him, though? Again, like I explained, it was only 3 days gone. He's an eternal being.
Well, I mean, 3 days. Well, he technically was down the pits of hell. He went to hell for those 3 days for us. And then he rose again. Also, I don't believe it's really written in all the scriptures, but my understanding is that he stayed for like 40 days on the earth and still spreading his message. And then
that's it. He's still there. Isn't Yahweh still with him while he's on earth? Isn't Yahweh here?
I mean, but that's what. Well, yeah, he's here right now.
So I'm still confused on
Absolutely.
the sacrifice that Yahweh gave. Where's the sacrifice? He still has everything, and his son was only gone for literally 3 days in hell. That's it.
Well, I mean, it was his son. I mean, regardless if it's God, the spiritual being that you're saying. I mean, it's still his son. And this is just my feeling.
Yeah.
And that would be still a sacrifice. It's still his son.
And that goes right back to the beginning part, though. We both agree it's not the best way to go about things.
As what?
Sacrificing your kid. Well, creating your kid just to sacrifice.
I could.
Later.
I'm saying personally, I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't make any sense to do it, though, does it? If we can do anything we want, we can forgive any other way. He wasn't happy with goats and sheep, which is weird because he made that. That was his idea, and then he had to have his son later.
Mhm.
That doesn't make any sense. It's not very logical to do that. There's so many other options for him: a letter, a song, a flower, a eulogy, an apology written through a limerick. I mean, anything. But he chose.
I personally,
death.
I wouldn't want to put myself through that. That's for sure. So I mean,
Writing a limerick.
I'm saying to lose a child like that. You know what I'm saying?
No, I wouldn't do that. That's the point. We wouldn't make that decision. We wouldn't make that decision as logical, loving people, rational people. We would not make the decision to require bloodshed for forgiveness.
And that's the difference
I
between
thank you
humans
for
and
that.
God.
I appreciate that in you. Because otherwise we probably wouldn't get along so well. Oh man. I thank you though. That was good. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Yeah, so Jesus dying, don't see much of it there. Where were we? Losing. Oh man, is creating evil good? Yeah. So I kind of want to end it with that question again. Just kind of hash it out one final time. Is creating evil a good thing? If I created evil, would it be good? If Kilroy created evil, would it be good?
Well, of course it wouldn't be good.
So when Yahweh creates evil, it's good.
Well, let me see where you're going with this.
Is it a good thing to create evil?
Well, I think that's where it comes from. He didn't intentionally originally created evil, and that was again by man's choice.
Isaiah 45:7 says he creates evil, though.
I'm sorry, what?
I think it's Isaiah 45:7 where Yahweh states specifically that he creates evil.
Well, what I was getting at was, I think that again, that goes by choice by man and his choices. And God gives us a free will. He didn't have a, this would probably be the most perfect world that you're talking about if he gave us if he had controlled us like puppets, right?
No.
He gave us a free will. Well, I wouldn't want to be controlled like a puppet. I'm sure you wouldn't.
Of course not. Yeah, no, but like there's perfect worlds. We had two of them already. The garden was a perfect world, and the second one is heaven. Heaven's a perfect world.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have it. Without being puppets.
Mm-hmm.
They already exist. So he can do that without us being robots.
Mm-hmm. Just choice of free will is what you're saying, right?
So do we still have free will in heaven?
Well, there's no sin in heaven.
But the devil sinned in heaven. Well,
yeah, that was when he was an angel. And excuse me. That's when he was up there as God's I don't know if I can say this right. what, before he turned on God, you know, he was supposed to be, he was like the most beautiful angel ever. And so I guess again, God gave him a free choice, a free will. So yeah, maybe there is. But I know one thing: when I'm born in, you know, I'm born again as a born again Christian. When you go to heaven, there's no sin, so I shouldn't really be tempted to do anything wrong once I'm in heaven.
You say
It's
that like
you were
no
saying,
sin
like
in
you were
heaven.
saying, perfect. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I do this. Jump around a lot. So you're saying that. Oh, damn it! I lost my train of thought. So
No, were you saying
s-
like no sin in heaven? Is that
no
what you're
sin in
saying?
heaven, but devil was allowed to sin in heaven. So
Well,
and is it a perfect place when we're allowed to make that choice in heaven? How can that be a perfect place? At that point, he would have to change our minds and change the way we think, making us not us, making us robots.
I can understand where what you would be confused or have a question about that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe was it a different heaven than before this heaven? I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean. I really don't know. But I just know
A
what
failed
my
experiment?
belief is. Huh?
A failed heavenly experiment, perhaps? Too much free will. Get rid of that next time. I didn't work out so well. Man. But yeah, it all boils down to him knowing so much though, man. And then he still does all of this. He still creates the evil. He still create people that he's going to have to wipe out with a flood later. Cause
see, that's where I disagree with you. He doesn't create evil. For the time being, he allows man to make a free choice, which is evil, which is sin, of the bad stuff that you're talking about. That's where I'm coming from, if that makes sense.
Kind of like, but the point of Yahweh making everything, and evil is part of everything, and Satan is evil. So at that point, I question
why doesn't he destroy him now? Why doesn't he just come and destroy him now?
Yeah. Holy cow, what's he waiting for? How many kids have to be raped in church for him to stop this whole thing? Holy cow, Yahweh, come on down.
That's another story in itself right there. But yeah.
Isaiah 45:7 is what it is. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So he says in his own breathed out words, which is the Bible, that he creates evil. And if you put it all together of him creating everything, yes, he created evil. So creating evil, I do not think is a good thing. And we can both agree that if we did it, it would be a bad thing. But when Yahweh does it, it's okay.
Well, that's where sometimes it's too big for me to figure out.
I don't know. I love it.
You know, sometimes it's just too big for me to figure out.
Yeah. There's too many.
If I was this fancy encyclopedia Bible dude, I'd probably well, this is the reason why, blah, 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 you know. But yeah, again, that's just where and I know it's hard for you to understand that, but that's where I have the faith, and I just trust everything that he says, and I'm at peace at it, man.
Scares me, Kilroy. I'm going to tell you right now, that scares me.
Oh, all that faith. I'm not going to bite you. I may hug you. I ain't gonna bite you.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're pretty much out of time here. I appreciate everything today. Tell the folks at home where they can find you.
Oh, they can find me on all the platforms, my friend, and on Rumble. All the audio platforms and on Rumble. The Kilroy Williams Show.
The Kilroy Williams Show.
And I want to thank you for inviting me today. I really do appreciate it. You were one fine man, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate that too. Thanks, man. I'd reach across that fence, man. Let's shake hands and let's keep that conversation flowing.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right, brother. You
Talk
take
to
it
you later.
easy.
Stay safe.
All right, take it. All right, bye.
And that's all the show there is for you today. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard and want to help keep the recording light on, simply go to patreon.com/BSW the podcast and sign up to be a supporter of the show. Your episodic tithes of $1 or more will give you access to the patron feed, unaired conversations, early access to each episode, and much more. For the latest events, BSW swag, and a peek behind the scenes, head on over to the show's ever-evolving webpage at thebiblesayswhat.com. The Bible Says What the book is out. Head on over to thebiblesayswhat.com and get yourself and your grandma a signed copy. Thanks to the cosmic powers of the internet, it is now possible to buy me a beer or coffee online. Simply go to buymeacoffee.com/BSW the podcast and click the appropriate buttons. If you can't support the show monetarily, please like, share, and or leave a review. As always, you can find me at the Bible Says What Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram pages. You can also reach me at bswthepodcast@gmail.com. And no matter which platform you use to listen to your podcasts, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next episode. Until then, would you kindly pick up your Bibles and read them?
It's just hard for me to explain.
There seems to be a lot that's hard to explain about
the
Bible, your beliefs, and whatnot. See, that's my issue, Kilroy. Is everything seems really hard to explain, hard to understand. I can't understand this unless I'm there, unless God tells me. It's very difficult for me to be a believer at this point because of all these things. And I'm very curious how you're still holding on.
Again, it's with faith, my man.
Yeah, that faith thing.
It's faith. I don't need evidence. Like I guess you're.
That scares me a little bit, Kilroy.
You need like evidence. I don't need evidence.
That scares me a little bit, though.
Okay, why does it scare you?
Well, what other aspects of life do you not need evidence for?